How to scale Facebook ads budgets like 7 and 8 figure brands. So first of all, why do you want to scale like a 7 and 8 figure brand? Plain and simple, it's the correct way to scale. Most of the big YouTube channels teaching you how to scale Facebook ad budgets are teaching you maybe not incorrect, but like a way of doing it that is going to hold you back when you reach greater scale and you have more complexity in the business with different channels operating together, okay? But also, if you're working on really, really tight targets, it's very hard for you to achieve your target. You have a very, very tight target as you're scaling, even at a small scale. That's also going to hold you back the way they're teaching you, okay? Generally, they're teaching you to scale at 20% every day or every couple of days. This doesn't work when you have a 7 or 8 figure brand. So you may as well learn the correct way to scale now and just do that the whole time rather than learning a bad way and then having to change when you reach scale, okay? So the correct way to scale is to only scale one time per week. Why is this? Because you have intra-week fluctuations with the platforms, okay? So if you scale up at the start of the week on your good days and then you just naturally, the behavior of your market, you have bad days later in the week, you've now just scaled up the budget on the bad days. So it's going to overpower the benefit you got in the start of the week and you're going to not hit your target for the full average of the week, okay? Might not be every situation, but I'm just giving you the extreme example. Versus if you just left it, that positive part of the week may have, on the same budget, may have been enough to compensate for the bad days and the average of the week hits your target. So that's one reason. The other reason is these platforms are optimizing on a 7-day click attribution window. So if you're scaling up after a day or a couple of days, you're not giving the platform the full length of time to see the full extent of the impact of what it's been doing with its optimization. You're saying, hey, go out, look at a different audience segment now, when the platform doesn't know what was the impact of the initial scaling. Okay, so give it the full 7 days to see what conversions it can get and what has happened with your scale, so that it can optimize properly. Even though the majority of the purchases are probably going to come on that first day. So the other thing is you're going to be scaling your account on the same day each week. It doesn't matter what day you scale, but you got to keep it the same each week and have that 7-day window. Stick to your rules. When you're breaking the rules, that's when you'll make mistakes and bad habits. And you're only going to scale your manual sales campaigns on this weekly cadence. Things like DPAs, they're doing remarketing, they're capture all, okay? So you're going to maintain them at 5 to 10% of your account spend, but you're not going to be scaling them every week when you're scaling your manual sales campaigns. So if you've watched my other videos, I'm telling you to focus on on advertising with Meta, your top 20% of products that bring 8% of revenue. You're going to have a campaign for each of these products, and that is your manual sales campaigns. So those are the campaigns you're going to be scaling 20% each week if you're hitting your target. The DPA is going to be I generally just use one DPA campaign, but the DPA campaign is advertising all your products. It's further down the funnel. So you don't want to be scaling that at the same time, because as you scale those main campaigns, they're going to go out and get new people, and it's going to take a few days for those people to warm up and to start needing remarketing, okay? So you don't scale the things at the same time. You wait till you see the effect of that scale on bringing more people top of funnel on your remarketing lower funnel campaign types. So it's the same with Google. And then you scale those. So I just try and make sure they're 5 to 10% of the account spend. As they're getting obviously lower in account spend, but more efficient, that's when I'll increase the budget a little bit, okay? And final thing is you're going to scale Meta first and then see what happens in Shopify and Google. Then you scale Google. So the same way you do DPAs is what you do with Google. You don't scale Meta and Google at the same time if you're hitting good results. You scale Meta, see what happens, and then you scale Google. So let's look at how you actually do this now. The thing that you're going to need to do with Meta is have a target. So I've shown you how you get your target in other videos. And the thing that you need to do with Meta is you need to be, or just advertising in general, is you need to be trying to acquire new customers, okay? So this is something you need to have. It's a tracker of my my cost to acquire new customers, my NCAC, or new customer CPA. That's what we're going to be scaling based on. If we're hitting our NCAC target, we scale the account. So NCAC is just simply ad spend divided by the number of new customer orders. Very important. It's not all orders. It is only new customer orders, because return customers are going to come anyway. They're going to come from our organic marketing. They're going to come from email. They're going to come a little bit from our Meta ads, but that is not judging the performance of Meta. Meta's performance is judged on how good it is, because it's a top of funnel platform to bring in new customers to your business, and then you monetize them via your other means and increase the lifetime value of them, okay? So you can do this with your third-party attribution tools, Triple Whale, Northbeam, Wicked Reports. Just make sure that the numbers match up with Shopify. So your orders have to be the same as Shopify. Your new orders have to be the same as Shopify. Ad spend is generally the same, but I do find sometimes these third-party attribution tools don't match up. This is why I do it manually with a tracker where I pull the reports from the actual platforms, and I have like a big sheet to do it. But I have this huge thing. You don't need this. All you need to do is look at the last 7 days for that day when you do your optimizations. Okay, so my target, I'll have an NCAC target, and this is how we're going to scale. You're going to come in and you're going to go, right, first week, did we hit our NCAC target in the last 7 days? Okay, so the last 7 days average, have we hit our NCAC target? If it is a yes, you're going to scale Meta 20%. If it is a no, you're going to hold the spend for 1 week and watch what happens, okay? With scaling the Meta campaigns 20%, if you just have one hero product, that's easy, you scale it 20%. If you have multiple hero products that you're advertising, you're going to need to be a bit intelligent about this, okay? So if you have a third-party attribution tool, it's going to show you how well the campaigns are performed. So if you've hit your overall business NCAC target and you see an improvement in your campaigns, or sometimes even if they've just held flat, I'm going to scale up all of those campaigns. If the campaigns got worse, that individual campaign, don't scale it with the 20%. Just increase the budget 20% on the ones that have done well if you've hit your overall, okay? If you don't have a third-party attribution tool, simply all you have to do is look at the sales of that product in Shopify. When you scaled up depending what you did, let's say you scaled up the week before and you've now hit your NCAC target, did all those campaigns have an increase in orders of that product? So if you scaled up every campaign 20%, but one of those campaigns, the actual products haven't increased, you've not had any impact yet from that increase in budget. So don't scale it up further, just leave it. And sometimes if you've got high spend, or if you've got high sales volume on Amazon, you might want to check the actual sales on Amazon, because you might not see a change in Shopify, but that increase in spend has been reflected in an increase in Amazon from the view through traffic, okay? So that would be week 1. We then come into week 2. Again, same day, we look at last 7 days. Did we hit our NCAC target? If the answer is yes, you do that same process, you scale again. If the answer is no, and we had held the week before, you're then going to pull back 20%. If we'd held the week before and we hit our target this last week, you can of course scale as well. It's only if we're holding that we now have to pull back 20%, because we're not efficient at our current scale. We're spending too much money and not hitting our target. Then move on to week 3. And again, if we've hit our target with scaling, we can scale again. If we've hit our target now after pulling back, you can also scale again. If you've not hit your target though, you're going to have to pull back 20% again. And what you're doing with these pullbacks is you're going to continue pulling back each week until you hit one of either two things. You either hit your target again, in which case you can scale back up, or you can hold flat and see what happens to make sure it's stable and then scale up again. Doesn't matter, it's up to you. Or you hit your baseline spend level, okay? You should have a threshold that you don't go below, even if you're not hitting your target. And that baseline is going to move as you scale, because as you scale, you're going to have more overheads, and you have to have a certain level of scale, even if it's not hitting your target, to be able to cover your overheads. Essentially, you should always have that threshold in place. And all you're doing in that period is testing tons and tons of different creatives to try and get something that allows you to hit your target again, so you can be at that baseline but making your target and scale up again. You don't want to go below that baseline, okay? So one thing connected to that as well, if you find yourself scaling up one week, down the next week, up the next week, down the next week, you're essentially hitting your efficiency ceiling, and you're not going to be able to scale past that until you find new creatives or angles, or something changes in the market. So you will see this with seasonality. You might see, for example, with my brand, it's in the UK. August is the worst month for e-com in the UK. Everyone's on holiday. So what happens is nothing can change. Your creators can still be performing, but you're going to see a dip in performance in August. So I scale back as a result. And then, couldn't scale up. We're still testing stuff, but when nothing was getting better. But then when September comes, nothing changes. I haven't found a new creative that works or anything. Just the nature of the market increases the seasonality, and you naturally get better results again. So I scaled up after that, okay? So that's something that might happen to you too. But if you do reach a point where you're at your ceiling, what you can do is you can, rather than scale up 20% and down 20% all the time, while you're trying to find those new creatives, you can edge it up by 5% each week until you get as close as possible to that ceiling, and then just hold it, okay? Because you may as well get as many orders as possible out of that period while you're trying to beat your target. So that would be that. But the only thing that's going to break past it is new winning creatives or angles, okay? Once you find them, your target will come down again, and you can start scaling up 20% each week. So that's really all it is. Obviously that you need to learn you need to learn a few things to do this. So if you have questions, let me know. If you need other videos to explain these things, I don't think I've covered much on it, but if you are running with NCAC already, you'll know how to do that. That's the equation for it. One last thing I want to show you before we end the video is what to do with Google. So if you're managing Google ads as well, and even if you're not managing it, you need to know this, because if you're doing stuff on Meta, whoever is managing the Google will need to take action. You can do this. Okay, so we can look at the last 7 days on Google, and we can look at how our purchases come in. So you see here, we've got 26 purchases in the last day for this account. 18 of them come within 1 day. So the majority of purchases come within 1 day with the Google Ads campaign, but there are still some coming in later. However, if you look at this, if you have any campaigns in Google Ads and they have a target ROAS, or they have a maximized conversion bidding, I can't remember what you call it, bidding system, you can hover over the cost per conversion, and this will come up for the campaign. And it's basically telling you it takes up to 11 days after impression for most of your conversion data to be reported, okay? And you can see here, you only get 70% of conversion data in the first day. Then we get most of it in the next 6 days, but then all of it's coming within, or the majority of it's coming within those 11 days. This is super important to know, because what this essentially means is after an impression, Google Ads isn't even going to have all my data until 11 days time. It's not the click, that's an impression. So the first time someone goes in, let's say someone goes in Meta, they see your ad, they go search on Google, they might not even click on your listing, they might just be looking at the different listings to do with that type of product. It's going to be 11 days after that period before you're actually starting to get this scenario happening. So this 1 day here, all this conversion coming in after 1 day isn't actually after 1 day, it's after 11 days, okay? So you need to know these per your campaigns, because there is no point in me scaling Google after 3 days or after at the same time as I scale Meta. I need to wait a substantial amount of time before I take any actions in Google to see the full impact of me scaling a Meta. So if I scale Meta 20% today, realistically, it's going to be 2 weeks before I actually have the full amount of data in Google to do with that scaling. So let's say I scale this week, I'm going to come back in the next week. If I've not seen any improvement in Google, I don't need to worry yet. Or if I've not hit my target overall in the business, this is why we're holding. We're holding. You might get like a couple more days, 4 more days of conversion data coming in on Google. And hey presto, Google is now supported enough of Meta or converted enough of Meta's traffic that the overall is hitting your target and you're ready to scale again. So that's why we're doing this process of holding rather than just simply pulling back straight away, because otherwise you would just go up and down, up and down, up and down, never able to scale because you have to wait 11 days for your traffic to be converted via your other channels. Okay, so just a quick one to show you that. Hope this has helped. This is the core thing you need to take. And yeah, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments, and I'll see you in another video very soon.